Okay, I'm finding that very interesting. And that is... Very interesting indeed. If I look at this Kiwi credit card spending year on year, I've never seen that before, I don't think. Anyway, it's low budget news, if you like. But there it is. That was the latest one. We've got the Aussie news, of course, coming out today. Damn it. It was good news and took me out of my Aussie yen short by 1 pip. Oh, I'm so peeved about that. Because naturally, as soon as it did that, it turned south again. And that trade would have been going very, very nicely because no damage because we were free trading it. But we've missed out on the bigger move, I think. There may be an opportunity to get back in. We'll see. I'll go and have a look at that later. What else have we got today? Euro news, or medium import, with all the flash manufacturing and flash services PMIs coming out. And of course, we do have the World Economic Forum still taking place. I don't know if there's too much come out of that. Certainly haven't read too much news about it. Not that I've been reading too much financial news, I must say. But the headline act of the day is, of course, the interest rate announcement, or as they call it these days, the main refinancing rate on the euro, tipped to be absolutely as was at 0.00. Unemployment claims coming out of the states later on deemed to be of little import. But the ECB press conference will be the one, we should think, that's coming up in around about 5 hours and time is it now? 7:30 to 30, 6 hours, isn't it? Okay. I could be in bed by then, I would imagine. Is that really right? Look at the time, right? 7:16 in London town. Yeah. The 0700 to 13:30 is indeed 7 hours. No, 6 hours. Yeah. Well, that's too late for me. I'll be in bed. Never mind. Probably a good thing given what happened to me today with the Aussie news. All right. That's what we think of that. Let's take a look at what's happening with the markets and what's hot and what's not. What are we seeing here? Dollar's doing okay today by this. We've got Aussie down. Bugger it. We've got, what else is happening? That's probably the biggest mover. Definitely the biggest mover. Aussie down. Kiwi's off a little bit as well. Oil's off by 0.5%. And I'm not really seeing anything there that's suggesting I should be taking note, I guess, apart from the weakness in the Aussie on the back of good news, it must be said. Good news in the unemployment figures. The unemployment figures were quite good. Unemployment rate's gone down to 5% from 5.1%. And jobs created, I can't remember what that was, or unemployment was down anyway. Hang on, let me check. Let me not talk off the top of my head. Let me actually find out. The employment change, 21,600 jobs created in the month of December, which is interesting. Yeah, seasonal, maybe. I kind of get it. Better than forecast anyway, but down on last time. But the headline act is the unemployment rate, and at 5%, that's an improvement. And of course, the Aussie rallied on the back of that. Let me show you my tale of woe on the Aussie yen trade. Took this trade on Monday, and we entered here. Got a nice first take profit before the daily pivot. Then we got a decent. That's not Monday at all. Where are we? That's yesterday on the 30-minute chart. Let me go back a little bit, guys, to Monday and track this, because it is a tale of woe, and I'm not sure if I can learn anything from it. So I thought I did everything right. There was the entry there on Monday, and as I said, we got our TP1 nicely. We moved our stop from where it was above here to, and that was, if there was a mistake, that's it, I suppose. After we take TP1, we normally do that and make ourselves safe in the market. I did that and put my stop loss exactly where you see that red line. That was looking fine up until the news today. And as you would expect on good news, we had a bit of a spike, and guess where it went? 1 pip into my stop loss and then disappeared. Oh dear. That is so sad. Anyway, that's my tale of woe. Actually, a couple more tales of woe because I tried to scale into it last night as well, and didn't get my TP1 and got smashed. So that's turned into actually a loser for me, where it should have been a decent winner and still going. What to do now? Well, I did actually place an order on the daily chart today, but I've since taken that off at entry. And the reason I've done that, the trade was there, break of weekly pivot, retest of weekly pivot. And my thinking, or my thought process, as always, is when that happens, if there is further downside, it should go through the bottom here and create new lows. As you can see, I did enter here, but I've taken that off pretty quickly. And the reason for that is really I'm going against what the fundamentals are telling me. Fundamentals are telling me that the yen should be weak based on Kuroda's speech yesterday, and the Aussie should be strong based on the unemployment figures. So really to trade against that, and in what would be considered somewhat of a revenge trade, certainly that wasn't in my mind. But if you go back and analyze that, if it's a loser, you're going to say, well, that was a revenge trade. So I don't want to get caught up in that. What I'd rather do, yes, I want to be short, but what I'd rather do is wait for the London market to react to the Aussie news in particular, which should be a rally, in my humble opinion. So once that's over, depending on how it moves, I may look for a short at that point. But again, I'm definitely going against the fundamentals if I want to trade this short. So I'm going to hang in. I'm just going to wait. If it goes, it goes. Look, the damage was done here. I don't want any more damage done here. So we'll just leave it at that for now. Another tale of woe? Yes. There's always tales. Well, it's not always tales of woe, but this one really pissed me off. Now, this was a winning trade. I've actually won on this. But I shouldn't be in the position that I was in. And let me explain. Okay, we took the the euro long yesterday based on this candle here. So we had a big bullish engulfing bar retracement. My thought process being, again, if the bulls were serious here, they're going to come through that level and they're going to challenge the pivots. And I was bullish the Aussie in the first place, only to a certain degree, certainly to these pivots, and maybe even up to this area here, the top of that inside range, if you like. So we placed that order, and it got triggered when I was sleeping, actually. And let me tell you the tale of woe from there. The entry was at 1.1374. That was my order. I got entered at 1.1374. 13801. So 6 pips above my entry. So in other words, I've been slipped, and the spread on euro dollar would have been about 1, say 1.2 or something like that. It's normally around about that level. So I got slipped 5 points or 5 pips before I got taken into this. Now my TP1 is at 15 pips above my entry. So if my entry is at 1.13, did I say 8474? Can't remember. 74. Allow the spread, so 1.1376, even take it out to 2 pips, 1376. 15 pips from there, which is where my take profit would be 91. Right about there. But because I got slipped 5 pips or thereabouts, my TP1 finished up here. And look what happened. It didn't get hit. I'm sleeping during all this, of course. Nothing I can do about it. But when I woke up, price is just about here somewhere. And I'm going, no, I haven't got a TP1. Why? And the reason is I got slipped 5 pips. So when that happens, I just closed the trade, which I did. So I closed it in profit. And that looks like it may have been a decent move anyway. But, you know, it's really disappointing when that happens. And obviously that's a fairly decent move at that time of day. God knows what happened. But there it is there. So, you know, you're not really expecting to be slipped 5 pips at that time of day when there's no news. But anyway, that's my tale of woe. So 2 fishing tales. Actually, there's a third one, but I won't bore you with the rest. I've had a shocker yesterday, absolute shocker. And really, I don't think I did a damn thing wrong. It happens. Anyway, that's not helping my win-loss ratio, and 2 losers back-to-back yesterday. Not happy, Jan. Today is a different story, of course. And what will we do? We'll take a look at the euro and why I'm a little bit bullish on the cross. It's all to do with cyclicity, really, and I'm not one that normally dwells on cyclicity, but in this particular case, it stands out to me. It's very clear that we've had a false break. We had a couple of false breaks actually of this bigger range, which is this range here. We spent a long time down here, as you can see, but the false breaks are very clear. We've been unable to break or close below 113, and I continue to see higher highs and higher lows. And if you spin that down to a daily chart, that's pretty clear to me. And we're still in that cycle. We've had 2, 4, 6, 7 of the last 9 bars being bearish. That tells me we're due for a retracement. I see 2 pivots sitting here untested. That's why I'm going there. And that was a pretty clear trade to me. But alas, as I said, the TP1 was fouled by the broker. Did I say I don't like brokers? Oh, okay. Sorry. What do we do next, of course, is the question. Well, it gets tough from here. The daily chart, if we do get a bearish bar here today, looks like, again, on my theory of if the bulls are prepared to come back here, they're going to accelerate through this level. That's this level here. Then that's all well and good. But look what we've got dead ahead. We've now got these pivots too close to extract a nice or decent reward on the risk I would take, depending on how big that bar is, of course. So I'll have to dig down a little deeper and look for something on maybe a smaller time frame. Even the 4-hour chart is going to be a little bit tricky, but gee, I'd like this as it's setting up actually. I've got about 13 pips, less the spreads, which apparently can go out to 5 or 6 pips when you're not expecting it. Ha ha. So, yeah, look, I could take an early profit here, but I've got to trade through this high as well. I'll see how this bar looks. At this point in time, it's only about 18 pips. So I'd probably be happy to take 10 off the table, or 9 or something like that off the table and get safe before we do hit this level, and then see what happens after. We've got 2 hours and 13 minutes to decide that, and that, of course, will preclude, not preclude, pre something. It will come before the ECB press conference, so I'd be okay with that. In particular, if we can get that first one in the bag before that happens. So that's kind of my thought process. I'm seeing continuous bullish signs. I've got a big bullish engulfing bar here. I've got another one here, retracement here. Not looking too bad. I think that's potential entry there for me. I know Ash, if he was in the room, not sure why he's not in the room. Actually, he was going to join me today, but I haven't heard from him. He of course was traveling overnight. He's probably having a snooze. So yeah, that's the thought process. Let me have a look at the smaller time frames. Maybe there's something there for me just a little bit earlier than that. I've probably got something I can trade from coming through here. So let's do that. Let's put our imagination cap on and think that price can come down and break this trend line, already false broken, hit this support level, which is 113. It actually should be 113.60, but I can't change that. That's one of my all-time favorite euro dollar bounce points. So 113.60, that'd be cool if we come down here, do that, find the support, consolidate here, get back above both the trend line and the daily pivot, and then come back and retest them. There, I would be happy to go long. We shall see. So that's plan A for the day on euro US dollar. Aussie yen, we've already spoken about. I want to see a retracement before I entertain trading that. Cable's interesting. Cable's always interesting, particularly in this current environment. The current environment seems to be 2 years old. But what I see here is a nice potential reversal. We've even got, I don't even know if I should call this a head and shoulders. It's probably only one bar. Let me turn it into a head and shoulders then, just for Ash. There we go. It's a bit better. Neckline's broken. This is a real small one, isn't it? I'll call that the neckline. So the neckline's broken here. I'd be happy with a retest and reject. If I've got a retest here, you may well see me go short pound US dollar. It's very counter momentum, and is it counter trend? Where's the monthly pivot? Too far away. Yeah, there it is. It is counter trend. So we are bulls according to trend, according to pivots. That's of course if your eyes don't deceive you, or you need help with that. And sometimes you do on a 30-minute chart. I absolutely get that. So we are trending long. So it's counter trend, but a retest here does get me interested. I won't be taking anything through the daily pivot, however, with any risk on the table. So let's say we've got a 15 pip candle and we're entering around about there. Go back. Yeah, it's about 1-to-1. Depending on what happens here. If this bar is too big, then that becomes less attractive, of course. We'll see. Again, that's the thought process. Definitely looking for a daily pivot test here. Didn't happen yesterday as the pound rallied substantially. Or I don't think I've got anything else to do there or say, frankly. Aussie itself, as you can see, I've got a mess here when I was trying to catch this move. And the news just made it so difficult. for two reasons. One, price reacted as you would expect off a good number or a couple of good numbers. But I guess when you look at the chart and you're thinking, well, we've had a double top, we've had a lower high or a triple top, then a lower high, however you choose that to be. We've now got another lower high. So this is now looking quite bearish despite the news. Not always does the news tell the story, does it? Retracement here. Yep, definitely. Wouldn't be looking to trade this without one. But, gee, it's got a lot of work to do to get back to here. Then there's some fresh air here. And I quite like that scenario. Let me just dig down a little deeper. See what the 30 minutes telling me. It's telling me there's a waterfall. That's what it's telling me. And I guess you don't need me to tell you that. This is going to be extremely tough to trade. Extremely tough. In fact, I'm almost at the point where I'm going to say, not for me, thanks. I don't really want to trade this long. And I certainly can't trade it short from where it is. So I think we can almost scratch Aussie dollar for the day. Pound yen. Spoke about this on, I guess, opportunities lost. If I look at this week in retrospect, which I'm probably not going to do because I'll cry. No, I will do it because there's probably lessons to be learned here. Both pound US dollar and pound yen were setting up long. This one as a break and retest of the monthly pivot. Now that's a go sign for me. Again, using the theory that if the bears are really serious here, they'll just continue to go south. But if this means anything, these three bars, make it 4, make it 5, make it 6, if they mean anything, and we've had a close above the monthly pivot and the retest is there, then there will be acceleration if we get buyers coming back in at these levels. Now, I saw that and thought, yeah, not bad, but two problems. Problem number one is that level there. Problem number two is no weekly pivot test. So that just added up to, no, I'm not going to take the trade. So I've actually missed that move and did exactly the same thing on the pound. Look, this is also in the context of Brexit, and it's still a little bit spooky. I've got to be honest, to be trading around Brexit, and absolute clear setups I'm fine with, but when they're kind of not there, and this was kind of not there with the resistance level, the weekly pivot. There was also Theresa May. This was on Monday. There's always also Theresa May with Plan B. So it wasn't an easy trade to take because you want to have fairly large kahunas. If I look at this and take all of those considerations out of the equation, it's a no-brainer trade because you've got a bullish engulfing bar. Forget the emotive reaction to whatever that was. I can't remember what it was, but it was nonsense. Then you've got a higher low, and then you've got bull, bull, bull. As I said, break the monthly pivot, close above it, little retrace. Unfortunately, not good enough to go to the weekly pivot and then on with the job. And we're chasing the top of this range. So technically, when I look back, I'm going to say, how on earth did you miss that? And it'll be exactly the same on the pound. Are there lessons to be learned is the question. And there's always lessons to be learned. But I don't think I'd change a thing on either of those because of the circumstances under which they set up. So I think it's just a case of put it down to a bad week and move on. It's pretty much that simple. Otherwise, I'm going to overanalyze this and beat myself up where I don't need to do that because intrinsically there's nothing wrong with what I've done, and I'm cool with that. There's a little bit of money going back to the broker, so what? It ain't the end of the world. Now, getting back to what I do need to do to trade this, look, I definitely need a retracement. There's no question. We've still got an untested weekly pivot, and I don't expect that will be tested today. Can I trade it back to there is the question. Because I'm not going long. Can I go short is the alternate. Look, I can, but I need to see two things. The first thing I need to see is a potential reversal. Look, I think we've got that. Certainly on this 4-hour chart, we're not quite at the highs over here, but we do have a little double top on the 4-hour chart, 2 reversal bars. What I would need to see here is what I'd like to see here is price come down to the daily pivot, bounce off it, and put in a lower high. That would be my signal to go, and I'm okay with that. So I think on the 4-hour chart, that's going to take quite some time. So I'll probably be looking for it on a smaller time frame. Let's go back and check. We have got exactly what I just described on a smaller time frame. Am I too late to trade this? Probably. We haven't got London open yet either. And I don't like to trade the first bar of London on a 30-minute chart. But that was potentially a good entry. It's exactly as I just described it to you. Double top, retrace, if you could call it that. Very small and little price action here. Then back to give us the lower high. I'm looking for that exact thing, but what I'd really like to see on a bigger time frame, the 4-hour in particular, is what I just described. Down to the daily pivot, come back here, give us the lower high, then look for the short. May have missed the opportunity to trade the daily pivot here, but again, as I said, I don't like to trade the first candle of London on a 30-minute chart. So maybe there's another opportunity here. I'll keep my eye on that, on pound yen, on both the 30-minute chart and the hourly chart. That's even a dominator right there. Again, I'm not going to trade the first candle of London. I'll wait and see what happens. This obviously could change shape in the next minute and a half anyway. All right, so that's pound yen. Couple more that I want to look at. Euro yen is another. I do have an order on euro yen. It's short. Let me explain. Let me get rid of these lines. If you are interested in following this one, I've got an entry at 124.08. Stop loss of 105 pips. And I'm taking profit at 45 pips. I'm going to close half of the position at 45 pips, which is here. Now, my thought process here is, and there are a couple of things that I don't like about this. One is we haven't really come back to the most, or have we? Maybe we have. That was the argument I was having with myself this morning. Is this the level here, or is this the level here? And there's an argument for both. So you can see where my stop loss is. It is right on this level. I do like the fact that we've broken both the pivots, the daily pivot and the weekly pivot. We've come back and retested both. And we've hit in some, or to some degree, a resistance area as well. You can choose which one you want to use. Probably that's it there. So we have hit resistance. We've broken the pivots. We've closed below the weekly pivot. And now we've retested all of that, including the resistance level. So again, the thought process goes, all right, if the bulls are fair dinkum, this will go to here, or at least here. If the bulls are not fair dinkum, and these guys really were making a statement, then if we come back here, they should take over and find a level. That level for me is in this vicinity. I won't say it's exact, that's for sure, but it's in this vicinity. Now, the reason I think this is a reasonable trade to take is that there is a potential reasonable reward available here if these lows, this low again off this crazy emotive mood, which I think was false, but it's there. So let's see if we can make it. We could conceivably, with our second part of this trade, go 1.5 to 1 to there, or we could really take a ride and go down to 119 and look for 5 to 1. So that's the reason I'm okay with taking that position. Are we due for risk off? That is the question. I think coming into next week and the Brexit thing, maybe we are. And if we go risk off, then I think the yen can rally, and therefore euro yen should not, and we might get a little bit of a run here. So that's the thought process with that. Dollar yen, we'll have a look at that one as well. This one's a little bit tricky for me. If I drill down, I'm on the 4-hour chart. If I go a little bit tighter, you can see a clear double top here. You can see the potential for a lower high here. That gets me excited. Well, kind of. On the back of the double top and the big bearish engulfing bar. If I am to see a significant lower high here and a reversal bar, that would be even this bar here with an hour and 57 minutes to go. I'd be happy with that. So a reversal bar here would be interesting. You know, even if it's just a high test bar and a green candle, that's fine. I'll still take the trade. So coming back to dollar yen in 2 hours time, I shall be just to have a look at this bar again. If it's a reversal bar, I think it's worth the trade. There's an obvious take profit level here at weekly pivot. If it does reverse, then we've got some nice levels down here to chase. So I'd be okay with that. Again, thought process, same as euro yen pretty much. Going into next week, I think we can probably go risk off. Should be good for the yen. I'll add the not disclaimer. It's not a disclaimer. It's a reason to think about that, however, and how much risk you want to put on the table. You must, I must remember that the dovish statement out of the BOJ yesterday can probably squash what I was just thinking about the yen appreciating. We shall see. I'm prepared to risk something on it. It won't be massive, I can assure you. But the technical signal here is quite strong for me. Double top, big bearish engulfing bar, a lower high here does definitely get me in the game. I'll be taking profit at strategic levels. Euro CAD, if there was another tale of woe last night, this is it. Look where I entered the market, guys, right here. Now you were immediately thinking, wow, what a great trade. And 80 pips for a 14 pip risk, 15 pips I think it turned out to be. Sounds pretty cool. One problem. When we got triggered on this bar happened next. Guess where my stop was? Here. Bugger. I didn't have much risk on this, I must admit, because we're coming into news, and that was a news reaction, as you probably guessed. But another fish that jumped out of the boat. As I said, I haven't had a good week, but missing, you know, by just a freckle, and that's the frustration of it all. I'm doing most things right. Perhaps I should have, and we're all great in retrospect, of course, got my stop underneath here, or underneath the weekly pivots, certainly. As I said, in retrospect, that's a great trade then. That's not how I actually trade. This had a few things going for it, and I was trying to pinch a free ride on the news, to be fair, but I didn't put much risk on the table, and I missed by a couple of pips. Bugger. Today, what do we do? Well, I'd like to see a daily pivot test once again, so I don't think I'll be willing to move until that is the case. Why? Well, that news reaction was strong. It warrants a retracement. Got it. Have we tested the daily pivot? No. And two reasons why. One, price came here before the daily pivot moved. So in other words, the daily pivot has come to price rather than reverse. And thus far, we haven't had that today. Can I trade that is the next question I ask myself. Look, we're very close to it, and that's an issue, but there is a way to do it, and it's probably this way. So let this break, this line here break, find this level here, consolidate, get back underneath here, retest it, retest this level as well, even better. And we might be able to sneak a little trade in. Depends where we enter, of course. So say we entered there with a risk of about 10 pips. Reward is just a little better than that to our TP1. I'd be willing to take that if the candle's any bigger than 10 pips. So I would stay away because the reward versus the risk here going counter trend is not superb. Targets, if we got a TP1 before the daily pivot, is far better, of course. So your 10 pips of risk could very well, if you get through the daily pivot, turn into 50 plus 12, 60 odd. It's a reasonable reward if we're thinking that way. Should we be thinking that way? Yeah. I don't see why not. This is really, I'll say it, the first reasonable retracement on this big sell-off of EuroCAD. Don't really see the level until this red line, though. There's nothing here that's really compelling. Yeah. Bit sad, really. I guess 152, the figure, is something to hang on to. But really, I don't know that I'd like that level too much. Where is it? It's got a little bit of form over here. It's not the roughest. It's not too dusty. Okay, I'm all right with that. So is it a deep enough retracement? This is the next thing I'm going to ask myself. Look, Fibbo fans probably wouldn't have a level, I wouldn't have thought, although off that move, you probably have. I'm not a Fibbo fan, I've got to say, but it's worth a little check. And that's about a 61.8 retracement. So I guess it does give you a little bit of food for thought that we can go from here. So, all right, I'm willing to take a good look at that. The 30-minute chart. So we need price to get up to here, find that resistance, get back beneath, retest it, and that would be the signal to go for me. EuroCAD. So we're not without opportunity today, that's for sure. Euro Aussie. From this chart, that's the 30-minute chart, looks to be too far gone, but that may not necessarily be the case. My God, I've got some yellow lines here. Let me get rid of a few. Now, you've got to bear in mind that I'm bullish the euro and the Aussie news was good, yet the reaction has not been. So the fundamentals aren't clear. What is clear is that, I'll go a little bit wider and make that just a bit clearer. is that this level here is significant. We've come off it. Very similar to what we've just looked at on EuroCAD, of course. Went into consolidation here, no real retracement, went on with the job. Now we're getting the retracement. Where's that retracement got to go to? Monthly pivot, maybe. We've certainly over supplied that area of the chart. Am I a short fan here? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think this has got to get up to here. It's got a ways to go for mine. So no, Euro Aussies are no. And that's about me. I don't want to really go anywhere else. What's gold doing? Up and down. What is oil doing? It's a 30-minute chart. The daily chart is clear that it's come back underneath the pivots. And a little retest here may be on the cards. Let's look at the smaller time frames. Oh, nice lower high there. Yeah, look, I wouldn't mind looking for something off the daily pivot or the weekly pivot, maybe another lower high. That would be interesting. But you can see that price is very indecisive over the course of the last 12 hours or so. I don't think I've got anything else, guys. That's just about where I'm at. So I'm going to have a look at where I started to have a look at the comparatives. It's a mixed bag, isn't it? Dollar, dollar, dollar. Strong against the CAD, the Swissy, and the yen. But weak. And the Aussie. Strong everywhere, isn't it? I'm not focusing properly. Everything's pointing to a strong dollar right now. Okay. How about the yen? We're getting pounds off against the yen, dollars up against the yen. And we know the Aussie's down against the yen. We know the euro is up against the yen. Mixed bag, isn't it? Dollar strength, I guess, is what I'm seeing across the board. Is that a retracement or is that a serious move? Looks reasonably serious there on the euro, it must be said. Again, we've come to this trend line. That's a 30-minute chart I'm looking at, of course. And what I wanted to say, if you'll recall, that's Angus going cranky about something. You recall I wanted to see price get down to here, break the trend line, consolidate, get back above both the trend line and the daily pivot and retest. Haven't got that. Instead, I've actually got a slingshot candle pattern that I trade. My issue is, well, we've only come 25 pips. Going short here without a retracement is not a massive enticing thing to do for me because of this move here. Really, I've missed the entry, haven't I? There's the entry there, probably. And, yeah, I've missed 17 odd pips. What I could do is wait for the retracement and see if it gives me something else. But I just don't want to join the party here at this level. Yes, it can go, and it can go really fast and hard and strong and all the rest of it. But you've got to bear in mind, also, I'm bullish the cross. So why on earth would I want to take a risky short entry? No, crazy. So no thanks, not for me. So I'll be waiting on that. I'm just checking 30-minute candles, guys, to see if there is anything interesting. And then I'm going to take a little voice break. There's this Aussie yen that continues to haunt me. And if it goes further south here, then so be it. I'll continue to look at that area and say, well, why, you mongrels, did you do that to me when I should be in this short still? Anyway, grumble bum. Pound straight to the daily pivot, and there'll be potential buyers here. One would have thought. I've missed the short. There it was there. Perhaps not strong at all, and tough to trade on that tiny bar as well. But I'll have to wait for something better than that now. Aussie, I don't want to trade it. Pound yen, similar to cable, of course. No surprise there. Missed the entry. Let's see if we can find something a little bit later on the 30-minute chart. Euro yen, I've still got that daily entry or order underneath that bar there. Is it tradable on the 30-minute chart? That's what we're checking, 30-minute charts. No, not at all. There's been a good move though, hasn't there? Yeah, 50 odd pips. News. The news? I can't remember there being news at this time. Oh, only that, yeah, all this stuff going on. Okay. Wow, it's moving a fair bit on that. What are the numbers? Let's see. They're still coming, I guess, because they were released 1 minute ago. I'm always very slow on Forex Factory getting these news results. Let me try another refresh. There we go. Okay, so 51.2 versus 50 versus 49.7, so on the rise. But the reverse could be said of the flash services PMI. So one would think that's going to balance itself, unless you've got a weighting structure that says, well, manufacturing PMI is more relevant than services PMI. I don't have that. So I'll leave that one alone and say should be line ball. Another 15 minutes, we only have the same out of Germany, and then a half hour after that, we're going to have the same out of the Eurozone. We got WEF happening, don't forget. We got the World Economic Forum taking place again. Don't know what's come out of that. I was hoping Ash might have joined me to let me know all the news, although he probably hasn't been across the news either because he's been travelling. But the headline act, again, is the press conference coming later with, wow, wouldn't it be a shock if they moved the interest rate? That would move things about, but not likely to happen. We'll see what Draghi has to say in the press conference. So that's the news. That's why the euro is moving. Is it doing it against the dollar as well? Yeah, it is. Wow. Did I say I wasn't going to trade that? Yeah, well, it's news related anyway, so I wouldn't have traded the news. Not on your Nelly, certainly not short. Wow. The fish that got away story is kind of repeating itself. These are going to retrace by the look of it. And why it's reacted so strongly is probably a good question. May turn into a non-event, as I suggest. It seems to be a line ball to me, but I don't see any opportunities here right now. Maybe there is. Maybe there is. What do I need to see? Oh, no, I need to get rid of that line now and use this one. So I've got to play a false break now. I've got to get price back up to here. But time is against us for that, of course. Can't use that anymore. That's gone. Aussie yen, euro dollar. Yeah, I think dollar yen's going to be the go, guys. 100 minutes away from a lower high here, perhaps. 30-minute charts, nothing doing. Although, once again, we could look for a false break here. So price to here finds this level, the shoulders, if you like, gets back below, retests the confluence of daily pivot and line, trend line. Happy days. That's a short for mine. So I'll be watching the 30-minute chart, but in particular, the 4-hour chart, because that lower high will certainly get me interested. If it is, even if it looks like that, I'd be happy. I'd be okay with that. There's a short there for me, I think. Nothing on Euro CAD. All these euros are just tanking, apart from Euro Aussie, which is well, it's declining. There's no question, but it shows you the weakness of the Aussie now on that chart. Interesting. Okay, guys, I'm going to take a little voice break and wet my whistle. I'll come back at the bottom of the hour and see if there's any change in the 30-minute charts. If there are any questions, I think I can see the chat box. If you want to put some questions in the chat box, happy to answer those during the next little bit. But I'm going to cease talking until the bottom of the hour, when I'll come back and have a look at 30-minute charts once again. I think you've probably got a fair idea of where I'm headed today. Okay, back in about 8 minutes. Okay, guys, back with you, and market's looking a little bit keen today, it must be said, where we've had a reasonable move on a low, well, medium strength news event, and that's come back off, of course. A little bit of reaction that's gone. Well, you'd have to say that Euro was bearish for the short term, but it looks like the Euro wants to fight back, and that's my want, of course. Has this given me, wow, has this given me a renewed vitality in the stakes of getting long the Euro? Look, I'd have to say not yet, but it's not a bad thing. What I do see is if this can reverse, this bearish move can reverse, and we get some nice candles. Consolidating now would be okay. I'd like to see the market settle a little bit, then come back above the pivot, retest the pivot and the trend line, and then I'd go long. Am I considering short at all? No. No is the answer, but if I look at the chart, pardon me, no, just no. I'm not considering shorts. So long's the only way to go here for me. Maybe they'll just come down and give me an opportunity to get that price that I need, and that's pretty cool. I'm okay with that, but nothing at the moment. I'm just going to whiz through the 30-minute charts again, guys, because we've got new candles, of course, and see if there's anything that's tradable. I doubt it on the Euro front, given the magnitude of that news reaction. Aussie yen, yeah, again, just continues to taunt me down here. As I said before, I did enter that, but I closed it straight away because I thought it was a crazy trade to take after the events that we had seen. If it continues to go south, then so be it. I can't trade it on the 30-minute chart from here. Rather, what I do see right now is the bottom of a range right here. And, just I suppose I've got my bias here. And I did place this trade this morning because we had a break and retest of the weekly pivot. And if I was still in this short from Monday, which I wish I were, frankly, but I'm not. If I was still in that, I would have been happy to scale in at this point. But I don't want to call sour grapes on this. I don't want to go, okay, this has now turned into a revenge trade. And two reasons other than that are that the Aussie had good news today and the BOG statement yesterday was dovish. So from a fundamental point of view, it's a crazy trade to take anyway. So I'm going to stay out of this now and just write it down to the one that got away and be happy with that. If you are inclined to want to trade a 30-minute chart, then I got some bad news for you. From my point of view, I won't be trading. I can't see a trade here for me, except maybe a long. And the long would come, as you can see, we've got a pronounced double bottom here, or good enough for me. I'd be happy to call that a double bottom. And in particular, if we've got a bullish engulfing bar here, then a higher low and a reversal bar, that would get me interested. Most definitely get me interested. So it's not all gone, but it's looking very much like the bulls are not in just yet. Cable, beautiful bar sitting on the daily pivot there. It's looking very much like there'll be buyers around here, but they're not coming in just yet. I can see that's a level that they'd be interested in, though, after the roll off the top. This is kind of the daily pivot test that had to be for me if I was to get interested in trading it. I would like to have traded it down there is the only thing. And you can see those buyers now having a little crack at this. They may take on these highs. If they don't, and we get another lower high, I don't want to see it on this bar, to be fair. I'd like to see it sneak over here, maybe find this level again, and then give us another lower high, a significant one with a reversal bar. I think I'd still be interested in trading that short. Counter trend, counter momentum, I know. This looks like, well, it doesn't look like it is now a retest of what I consider to be the neckline of this head and shoulders pattern, if you want to call it that. Look, it's not easy to trade. I've got to be absolutely frank. But if I do see a nice lower high in this vicinity, and we don't take out these shoulders, then I'd be thinking seriously about it. Why? I can hear people saying why, because every man and his dog wants to trade the pound long, and look, I'm absolutely with that. But what I'm also with is a technical situation, and what we don't have yet, well, in my opinion, what we don't have yet is a higher low. And that's what I need to see before I can actually trade this long. And that's what held me up from trading it, getting into this move in the first place. I'm still looking for that higher low. Look, it may not come. And if it doesn't come, then, you know, the pound will be up here somewhere. I'll say, shit, I wish I'd got in that trade earlier or in that trade at all. We've all been looking for the opportunity to get into this long. And this may be it. It may well be it. There's more volatility, I feel, to come next Monday or Tuesday, I think it is. Is it Tuesday? I don't know. Whenever this next procession takes place in Brexit anyway. If you're in this long, and I know a lot of ATW people will be in this long because of the daily setup yesterday, which was taken in the morning show. And look, if it goes, it goes. Happy days. You guys will be laughing all the way to the bank if it gets up here somewhere, that's for sure. I wish I were in with you, to be fair. But I always had to wait for that higher low. So nothing's changed there. And there is nothing to trade here for me at the moment. Again, the only way I will be looking to go is short at this point, unless what? Oh, look, I don't want to trade into this level, full stop. So if I was going to trade long, that would have been the candle to trade from, but I'm not ready to trade long. So I'm still looking for that lower high. I'll stop talking now. The Aussies putting in a little bit of a response, if you like, from the buyers. Look, I said before I don't want to trade this, but in the back of my mind is this good number that's come out, or these good numbers that have come out in the employment figures today. I don't know what's driven the Aussie down today. Maybe it's simply what do they call that stuff? That when you drop something, it holds the earth together. What on earth? Why can't I think of that word? Magnetic force. Yes, that'll do. Not magnetic force. Not what I mean. When you drop something, it drops because of this thing called, let me talk about something else and it'll come to me. Gravity. Thank you. It's just come to me. I'm not thinking myself, by the way. Maybe it's just gravity that's done it. You know, the weight of the market being bearish, the Aussie. Maybe that's the case. And am I willing to trade against that? Yeah, I am. I actually am willing to trade against that, because this number was not too bad today on the on the employment figures. So what do I need to see? Well, I'd like to see this bar close on its high or close to its high. Then just tinkle down here for a couple of hours, put in a higher low and a reversal bar. That gets me a trade back to the daily pivot at least, and maybe even on from there. We shall see. I said I wasn't going to trade the Aussie, but now I can see an opportunity, maybe, if it sets up. Pound yen, similar to pound, of course. Do I want to trade this long? Well, not from here, no, certainly not. And I think the plan is still to come and find this resistance level, get consolidation above the line, back underneath it, retest it, trade it short. This could be a nice daily pivot test if we can get up our entry around here somewhere on about a 10 or 12 pip candle, something like that. That'd be cool. Euro yen. I don't see any possibility for me to trade this. I've got an order short on the daily chart triggered here if it goes. There's no other way for me to trade that right now. If I were to see, because again, we've got a double top sitting here. If I were to see price, just ease its way back into this area and then deliver a lower high, happy days. I'll be looking to trade it. But until that happens, no. This has got to hang on. This has got to hang on. What I really want to see is the bulls come back in a little bit and close above the daily pivot. This is the 4-hour chart I'm looking at, and then I'll look to trade this short. It is indeed a potential lower high on the back of a double top backed up by a bearish engulfing bar. So that really does interest me on dollar yen on the 4-hour chart. Should I get the opportunity on the 30-minute chart, then I would take that also. What I need to see again is this level to break and consolidate back underneath the trade line and the daily pivot, retest the confluence. Bingo. EuroCAD. What do I need to see? I'm not keen on anything here right now, to be fair. I guess, again, same as what I just described on dollar yen. If it gets above here, consolidates, back underneath, retest, goes short. And finally, Euro Aussie. I don't see anything there that interests me, to be fair. No. Not even close. So, guys, that's about it, really. I don't see too much point in hanging around too much longer. There are no setups for me at the moment, but plenty on offer later in the day, I think. Maybe around about US session time after the news events. And after Draghi's spoken, it'll be interesting to see what eventuates out of that ECB press conference coming up a little bit later. So I'm going to call it quits and finish a little bit early today. Thank you very much for your company. Great to have you on board. And I wish you a very, very good trading afternoon or evening. And, of course, a wonderful weekend. We look forward to catching up with you again on Monday when Ash will be back on board and telling us all about what's been happening with the FTSE and the fundamentals pretty much for the last few days. And over the weekend, when we will, of course, be looking again, the spotlight will be very, very focused on that B word. You know what the B word is? Bloody Brexit. Have a great weekend, guys. See you later. Bye-bye for now.